Hey guys, and welcome to a video with me and my good friend Tex, who's joining me today. And today, yes, we are going to rate all the warriors in the game. So we did a previous video together with all the special bots in the game. I think that was really good. We got two different opinions, and so it's not just my opinion that we're giving to you guys. And you might think, oh well, was a bit biased. So we've got Tex on the stream again. We had a lot of good feedback last time, asking for Tex to come back. So thanks for joining us again, Tex.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Woz. It's good to do round two of all these good bots that we have in the game.
Yeah, well, like I said, it's good to have someone else's opinion and someone of your stature who's a play tester and a advocate for training with all your training rooms. So yeah, I appreciate you joining me again. And like I said, guys, we're going to be doing some more of these. We've already talked to Tex about doing some future videos about gunners. We've had a lot of requests for gunners, so that'll be the next video that we do. Then air class, obviously healers, triple changes. We'll probably combine the two together. And then we've even talked about maybe even doing cores, G1 cores. It's endless. Combat bots. It's endless where we can go with this. So yeah, like I said, thanks for Tex for joining me. And yeah, let's get into it. So first bot on the list is an interesting one, and that's Ironhide. So where do we stand with Ironhide?
Yeah, look, a lot of the warriors had that buff that they were given to help their rushing, and a lot had that shield. But unless you're just using it as a sack bot, I don't find them very helpful. So situational at best.
Yeah, I'd even go maybe down as not great. It's
Yeah,
so not great.
right there. Oh,
There.
I'd leave it at that because depending on if a base has the MSM mines, you can use these warrior rushes as good sacks. I mean, yeah, a lot of people jumped on the pipes bandwagon because it was cheap.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, Ironhide's all right, but just I've never seen him used in Cyber
No,
Prime.
I mean, yeah, it's
No.
only a 4-star, so you could have that sort of argument. But I just feel like when they said they were buffing warriors, I was really excited. I was like, this is a class that really needs a buff. And when they got the buff, I was just really underwhelmed. I was like, I thought it'd be better than
Yeah,
this. But yeah,
but not just that. Even Ironhide had an ability change, and he still didn't
yeah.
really jump into the hey, I want to use that category.
Well, the big problem for all the ones that got a buff was that the effect is behind them. That was a big thing that I even said in playtest, is that why is the effect behind them? Because by that point, really, all the bases behind them are dead already. So if you're doing a sack, I kind of get you can take advantage of that, but I think it's just very, sort of narrow-minded to say that that's the only way. I said it should be in an area. So if it's in an area, then you can take advantage of that. But I weren't a fan of that, but sadly that's the way they went with it. But yeah, I agree with that. I think even a 5-star Ironhide, I don't think I'd want. I think we've seen that with pipes. A lot of people are hating on pipes recently, which we'll come to later.
Yeah,
But again, yeah, the same thing. That huge HP, not much DPS, not a great ability. Says a lot for a bot. And next up is Trailbreaker. So I didn't have this guy for quite a while, and and I'm not a big fan. But it's not I'm not a big fan because I don't know much about him. It's because I've not really used him, so I can't find a real use for him. So do you use him at all in any of your teams or anything? Or
I mean through testing, I thought it had potential. This force field that he gives, I just feel it doesn't last long enough, and it's also not big enough. So he's on a raid team that I have, but 50 mid-level 50s, nothing on power leveling. So it's not a WoW bot, and that's because I said when you use his ability, it's in a very small area, so you're only protecting like a very tight cluster of troops, and that's not great. If you made that double the size and maybe a few extra seconds, which you could have it in a 5-star version, I think he'd have a lot more, maybe not desire, but like he'd have a lot more useful
yeah.
ability. Just right now, it's too small, too weak, and just not on the priority list at all.
So where would you
So
place him?
I not great
Not great, even. Yeah. Yeah.
because
Well.
it's not even situational.
Yeah. Well, it's hard for me not to agree. Like I said, I don't really use him, but I think it says a lot that I've got the 4-star quite recently. I think I say about 3 or 4 months ago, and mine's still around level 40s. I've not really found any real use for him, so I think that says a lot, really.
I'm just looking at my account. It's 52-1. That
One.
says enough.
Yeah, that's enough, really. Yeah. Uh,
And it's not that I don't like it. It maxes out at like 12 seconds or something, but it's not. Uh, I think when I really think about it, it's just how small his force field is.
yeah.
It's too small of an area.
Do you not find that when testing, I said that the problem is that when he's following the bots around, it's the distance he is away from the bot. So the force field ain't maybe too small. It's the fact that he's too far away. So yeah,
Well,
if you could
like
increase,
when you
increase the radius,
yeah,
then yeah, that'd cover them bots. But it was also the fact that it's too far away as well, and he was a bit slower to
if
catch
it
up. And
I think he's a unique bot, and I thought he was going to have a lot of good uses because of the ability that he had. But just because it's stagnant, it's behind the team, it's too small. It's just made him not good, and it's a shame, really. Absolutely.
next up, RC. So what do you think of RC?
If we can just put that in the God section right now.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I think look, we're gonna have this talk when it comes to Rook a bit later, but like, we spoke about Blaster on our last stream,
Yeah, yeah,
and my reasons for not liking Blaster. And it's because RC gives me exactly what I want from a bot that casts a hologram or a minion, right? So
yeah,
yeah, RC's ticking a lot of boxes because it's not just great for offense. Um, it's used for defense. Now that we're in this defense kind of era that we're in,
yeah,
like I've got both RC and Rook on defense, right? We're just really pushing the whole timeouts now.
yeah,
Um, Now why do I like RC over Rook? It's more because so with Rook you have that immediate explosion, which is a lot, right? Especially with SA11 and the perks you can give, great. But that's it, right? Like, so for my playstyle where it's fast attack and whatnot, I get a lot more um, benefits from stunning an area for up to 12 seconds or whatever it is. And it's by the time my bots reach that stunned area, either the op bot has timed out its a special ability and then it's still stunned and my team will just eat it up.
yeah.
It's not just the op bot. It's stunning weapons in a small area. So once again, I'm not taking any damage. It's great for casting exactly where you want. You can try and pull out Computron so it doesn't get hacking on your team.
We'll talk about Rook later, and I might actually give you a bit of insight into how I use him a bit differently, and maybe you're not considered. But because even how you've put there is not exactly how I use him. But yeah, I'm sure you'll see value in it. But listen, I'm not going to argue with RC because even I would like RC in my team even right now. I'm not sure who she replace because I've got it set up the way it is, and I wouldn't be disappointed by any means. I still think she's really good. I was going to say at least good, so I won't argue with Godly though because I know how much she's
I,
limited to Rook and how much I like Rook. So
well, from that last stream that we did when we kind of put bots on different views where we thought, say, Nor versus Blaster, we
yeah,
kind of like, we both thought they were, each the one that we selected we thought were gods, and I was like, and the other person thought good.
yeah,
I think honestly, I'm really happy to put it on that godly / good halfway line because I kind of feel that potentially where Rook might go, and it's kind of like, I mean, it's up to you, but
Oh no, Rook's
it's
going in Godly. Let's just get that right straight away. Let's just put that straight right now. But we'll talk about that later. But yeah, yeah, yeah. So next up is Sideswipe. So what do you think of this guy? Remember, he's
um,
my brother. Remember that. So just keep that in mind. Don't be too harsh. But so what do you think of Sideswipe?
I like the ability. You can put a gunner combat on him.
Yeah. So where would you rate him?
It um I'd put him I'd probably put him at situational just now
Right.
because only 4-star, right? Like there's been talk of if there was a 5-star version of Sideswipe, it's a massive HP gunner. And I think, you could overlook not using his ability just from a pure DPS, HP, and you can put trench foot on him, so he's not gonna run ahead like a normal warrior would, because the other ones you can't equip flak, top shot,
Yeah.
trench foot, and so this kind of separates him a bit from the warriors who just have good health. He has the ability to be a high health gunner, and that's can be a very good factor.
See, I'd honestly even push him to there even. But yeah, I still think if he came out as a 5 star, yeah, like you said, the fact that you could put a gun on him as well. Um,
I,
it's interesting.
I don't think you'd be totally upset if you
Yeah,
pulled a 5 star sideswipe. That's what it basically comes down to with him, just as we know him to be now. Obviously, we know that when a 5 star comes out, generally the bot gets a bit tweaked a bit. And if they ever bring a G1 core out for him, who knows?
yeah,
They
true.
can really change one.
Okay, so on that note, you know where we're going now. So
Yeah,
we've
Mr.
got pipes. So we've just
Pipes.
said. So we've just said that a bot that has 30,000 health blocks 80% damage. Similar to Ironhide.
Yep.
So where would you put pipes then?
Pre FFD in almost that godly good. For
Really?
the sack players, right?
Wow.
Not for me, not for me personally,
Yeah.
but but since the FFD cores have really affected Pipes' thing, he's kind of gone on the line of situational, not great. That's how much
Right.
he's dropped for me because the people who were using him are not using him anymore.
Right. See, I think that's even more than I'd put him. I'd honestly put him in not great.
And
I'd have put him in situational pre FFDs. I really don't put him that high. I think the problem with him for sacking is his range. Again,
it doesn't. And
yeah,
I think it comes down to people looked at him. He was the
yeah,
cheapest sack bot available. So those players who are literally just looking to sack at the most cost efficient way, Pipes became their guy. It's all well and good, but that range is too short still. Whereas versus Goldfire has that, mini saber range, right? So um, overall, Pipes just lost it with
yeah.
FFD core change because of how big the range they are. So that's all.
So next up, Sludge. Where would you rate Sludge? That's an interesting one, I think.
Trying to convince people he's good outside a big meat shield because he has massive health, right?
Yeah,
Like I'm looking at mine. Let's have a look where he's at. Like mine's 6511. Like I know that, but just stat wise. So 33,000 health
yeah,
and 411 DPS. Massive stats for a warrior, and it has a very effective special ability. He's honestly, on that godly good line for me.
that high, yeah,
Um, yeah, absolutely. And I think what people don't understand is because his calculations is an equation, right? So
yep,
we're looking at um, sludge number right now is like 649. Um, and if you don't have SA11, it's times 5,
yep,
but SA11 it turns into times 7,
yep,
and then it's how many wall pins you hit plus potentially if you have that wall buster, which I recommend.
yep,
It's a massive, like, the rough calculations. If you have an SA11 sludge maxed on a 5 star with a G metal max core, you're doing like 48,000 damage to 5 or 6 walls. It's crazy. There's
yep.
never going to be any walls to stop him, right? Um,
Well, it's a hard one for me. This it really is hard. At the minute, I'd personally put him around here because, and this is not because of him. It's because of base design and because of walls and HP.
yes.
And as we've talked about in playtest, I've said a lot, is the problem at the minute is walls are only used to path. And I get what you're saying about no walls, no pathing, but when we had time traps, this guy would be up here. It'd be in godly section when we had
Yep.
time traps. But we've gone right away from time traps. Time is no longer an issue. And to be honest, walls are not really an issue anymore. It's hard because there's no clumped walls anymore. They're just sort of in straight lines, and so it's very hard to really use Sludge. You can use him in slush attacks, which is why I put him in the good situational sort of. But
I think the other issue is that I think we don't have enough wall pegs. I think it could be up there with mines. I know that we've trialed in the past having more mines, just to give that variety because, everyone kind of like a bot or like a defensive core, like whatever kind of meta is, everyone jumps on all of it, right? So, if everyone could, everyone would have 4 maxed G metal MSM mines, right?
Yep.
And so what about the flare? What about the glass? What about general stun? Nope, out the window.
Yep.
But it's like, if I said you had 6 mines, would you want 6 MSMs? Probably, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah, probably.
so it's like, how many extra walls would you have to make sludge? Would you have that honeycomb plus walls that made pathing issues? Then does sludge really become a, hey, I should probably put sludge in because there's walls everywhere, But we don't. We don't have that issue where walls are a huge problem.
Yeah.
As long as you know how to path, you don't need to really destroy walls. You're just going to walk around one way or another. So that wall breaking is not really needed.
But yeah, I think it will come good again. I really do. Drift. What are you feeling, Drift? Where would you place him?
Situational, half good, and that's only because of his G1 core. If that didn't exist, he would be in that not great category.
I still would. I don't like any bot that jumps over walls. I have a walk team. I like to keep my bots together. I like to know what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, when they're going to do it. And I just feel like too many times he's jumped over a wall. And then I think, you know what? I'm going to plan that in. I'm going to plan that jump in. And then for some reason, like, not all the time, but my bots will destroy that target. And you jump over a different wall. And all of a sudden, then you're like, right, this is not going to plan. You've got to use an ability that you maybe didn't want to use. Or it's just... I just find it too random, and like I just don't like that jumping over walls. I don't like Altus Primal for the same reason. Just that. That's it. That's what I don't like.
I don't like to, like I said, I don't like to have to use anyone's ability just to keep them alive or get them out of trouble. Right? Like that's a waste of points. It's not bad pathing because he's a ninja. He just kind of jumps around, kind of what he does. But if you didn't use his ability, he would die pretty quick.
Yeah.
But then that's where his G1 core came into and made him somewhat decent because of that life drain, massive sort of immediate effect. And yeah, I don't. Do I use him in wars? No, God no. That's silly.
Yeah, is that good? Yeah.
But for medals, for raids, for ZE, I think he has his, place, just not in war.
Here's a good one. So nose cone.
Well, you don't have to drag him far.
Yeah, both agree. Probably the worst bot in the game by far, and I've been mithering the apes to give him a buff of some kind. I can see it coming, soon. No guarantees,
I got nothing. Yeah. I got nothing to add.
And that's it, yeah. That's it, guaranteed. So, what do you think of
So,
Inferno?
speaking, he's my favorite character, straight up, right? In the Transformers world, this is my favorite character. In lore. Okay. Pre HQ 17, wonderful. With Elita, all that kind of, amped up stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard not to because, he could double stack, triple stack, and all that fun stuff. But it got a bit silly when it come.
Yeah.
People were just wiping out max 17 bases. So, my 4-star is pretty much maxed. I haven't given him 11 because I just feel like a million spark is not great for him right now. I don't use him.
So
I don't use him
on
war. Situational.
Yeah.
At best, yeah.
This is one of those bots where you look at it on paper and think, that's amazing. And for some, I don't understand how Glass Gas is not as apparent in the game. I don't understand how Inferno and Hound Vamp, and I don't understand how they are not as apparent in the game and why they are so poor. Yeah. I can't put my finger on it why, but these bots
he's useful in Shanix's raids because pairing Inferno up with Rodimus is just like insane, right? Like,
but why not do that in wars though? Why do that in raids and not in wars then?
It's a good question,
See,
but I think
yeah,
because I don't know why we don't see it. I think there's just more useful bots out there that, like a lot of my points are dedicated to pathing and then just picking off what needs be, right? Like, and I don't know,
yeah,
just
but you could
you kind
say,
of,
yeah, but it's not like it's just me and you sat here going, yeah, well, I know loads of people that use them, like Sludge. So personally, I don't really use Sludge at the minute, but I know there's guys that do. But I don't see anyone using Inferno. It's not like just me and you going, like, it's our play style. I don't see anyone using Inferno. So is it a cost issue? I can't put my finger on it. I can't just put my finger on it and go, yeah, that is why. That is why we're not using him. I just don't know.
I think people got very much burnt from him not being able to be stacked anymore. Inferno can be effective. I almost feel like you've got to make a strategy around him
Yeah,
because, and that's just to incorporate using him up to 3 times. Otherwise, don't use him at all because one time, I don't know, it's not worth one-time use. It's not like an emergency thing where, oh crap, hey, I'll just use him last minute. I've got a couple bots left, and I'll give everyone a 30% damage increase. Um, yeah, I just don't think he's a effective, which is a shame because trust me, I'd love to put him in, but just not seeing that.
yeah. Pyramagna. So where would you put Pyramagna? I think I can feel it's coming already. No.
Yeah, I just nothing. It's just a high health sack bot. I mean, I get it's Russian. There's a little bit of fire. I mean, her and um, Slag are kind of similar.
So
Yeah,
close.
that's
Yeah, I kind of
yeah,
agree. I think they're too similar. That was one of my complaints in
yeah.
playtesting. That they're still too similar. They need separating completely,
Mm.
and still really poor.
Fire rush. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just. I mean, look, all of these rushing bots have this block 80% damage, and it's like it's kind of cool, but is you either just use them as a sack or that's it. Like, you're not using these things on a walk team. There's better walk warriors um, to come up, which we can talk about, but it's yeah, they just don't have enough. Hey, this is useful. I should use it. I'm going to
yeah.
level it up. No.
So then we're on to Jump Stream. So would you put Jump Stream about the same place as Pipes? Because they're very similar.
Yeah, that whole defensive rush. So you kind of yeah, it's honestly that's the same lines of
Mm,
Ironhide pipes, and that's I think you see the pattern of warriors, right? You kind of it's pretty hard to get out of that situational
yeah.
category unless it's freaking amazing, and then it's like, wait, why is that amazing? Is it too good? Should it be that good? I just maybe not enough focus on warriors, like um, I mean
Yeah,
these are
well,
all
I want to
they're
start
older
sum it up at
bots.
the end, and then we're going to go through that, and I can see a sort of correlation, and we'll talk about maybe why. But, yeah, so sticking on the trend of rushing bots, hotspot.
I like him. I like him as good because you know what? He's good for defense as well. So when you start ticking the defense side of the game, you're making that bot more available to be used more, right? So especially that 5-star, massive, massive health. You know, um,
So where
when
would
we
you place him then?
found, I put him in good,
Good.
and that's all he wouldn't go any further than that. But you know, when we were golden lagooning with Cheetah, it's the last bot you wanted to
Yeah,
see pop out of her,
it really
right?
is.
And it's like, oh, he's dead. Oh,
Yeah,
right? So when you got to, he stops bots in their tracks, right? Um, and you know, when we're making teams with high DPS, that trying to rush, get everything quickly done. When you get such a bot like Hotspot on defense, you can really, really make things go a bit awkward real fast because everything's reflected,
yeah.
right? And his G1 core is
It
even better
increases that.
because it's
Yeah,
a permanent shield, right? So I really like that from a defense perspective. I mean, would I use it on offense? Not as much, right? Because I kind of feel you can use other abilities better. But it's also a good last minute option that, I think it's 4 for a cost of 4 or something, or something real cheap that first time use. So from an attacking standpoint, it would be a good mid to last option ability, but you wouldn't lead with it, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just it'd go to waste. So I like that, and on top of having super health, okay DPS for a warrior, but his ability is useful, right?
Yeah.
So he's ticked a lot of good boxes here, and I say that's why he's good and not God. And yeah, that's just how I see him.
Yeah, I'd have put him in good situational. I'd have put him around here. I used hotspot for a long time back in the 2000 back in the HQ16 days.
Yeah,
But yeah, as a 4 star.
well,
But then I started getting 5 stars, which took over.
yeah,
But yeah, again, we'll talk at the end why there's certain bots, where they are, and why I think. But I think he's probably the best of the rushing bots as such, that warrior
yeah,
rushing bots. I mean, we've got Goldfire later on. I think Goldfire is a bit different than everyone else. That's a problem. Or why is it a bit different than everyone else? But
yeah,
of the high HP, low DPS, pure tank warriors, then rushing warriors, then yeah, I'd probably
yeah.
put Hotspot the highest. So yeah, I have no problem with putting him either there or there. So yeah. So next up, Lightspeed. So I'm not gonna
Mm,
lie, I forgot this guy was even a warrior. When I looked on the wiki, he ranked as a gunner. I was like, he's not a gunner. I know he's not a gunner. But I was like, is he
no.
a warrior or is he a special bot? I was like, I'm not even sure. I had to go and look in the game. I was like, yeah, he is a warrior. And I was like,
Mm.
he's not a warrior by any sort of class. He doesn't act like any other warrior. And I thought, that's maybe a good thing. But he's not a warrior though.
Well,
And that's what I was like,
no,
so where would you put him?
not great.
Yeah.
Straight up. I mean, his ability, it's like a dash. I just don't. It doesn't do enough damage,
Well,
right? Like,
I don't think you were in testing when we actually tried this guy out. I don't think.
no, I
So
wasn't.
yeah, so he came out, and I'm sure Fabian won't appreciate this conversation. I'm gonna be privy to you. So he came out, and we all said he did the range. Obviously, he did a thing, and we said he needs some damage to the target. So Fabian added some damage, and we were all saying it's not enough. It needs more damage.
Do you know what I feel like? Lightspeed was a prototype for Blur. I'm not gonna lie. Blur is a very evolved
Hmm.
version of Lightspeed because we're doing a dash, a fast dash. We're doing damage to end of target, a lot more with Blur,
Yeah.
and leaving that hologram. And it's kind of like a very better version of Lightspeed. I'm just
Well,
saying,
it is an interesting one for you. So if you think back to that testing, my comments were that Blur should return back to his
Oh,
starting
it's,
position because that's what I wanted Lightspeed to be, which is quite interesting you say that. How I foresaw Blur was how I foresaw Lightspeed being, if that
mm,
makes sense. And so that's where I was like, let's actually correct Lightspeed in a way and bring Blur out how Lightspeed should have been. But obviously the testers and the apes went with the way he is now, and Blur's alright, don't get me wrong. But yeah, I wanted him to be that. That's what wanted Lightspeed to be. But so moving on to Beast Wars Ironhide. So
yeah,
this guy had mixed reviews in testing. I mean, some people loved him
yeah.
completely. I mean, some people were like, including me, were a bit like, it's alright, it's not bad. So what did you think of him?
I had fun with him. I know I shared a few runs lately. I just quickly maxed mine out, and I was like, I can, for because the map is crowded, and he's stomp AOE is pretty big. Um, it can be effective if you partner up um, with a follow bot. So like jumping a Lita behind it, or maybe bringing Saber across, or follow up with Sea Spray or something that really uses that glass effect that he provides. Um, it can be great. Like I think if this bot came out when we had honeycombs, just perfect for it, right? Because once again, you're doing damage to walls, you're doing, this massive glass area effect, but we don't have that honeycomb kind of layouts now anymore, right? So
Hmm.
it's just straight scattered building. So kind of hit and miss. For me, it's going to be situational, not great line.
So do you not think it's an upgrade on Sludge?
No, because Sludge can just see with Sludge, outside how much damage he can do to a wall, he also has that collateral damage effect, and that number is so high. Like you can one shot stuff essentially if they're sitting right next to a wall, which is crazy good. I'm not saying he can't be good in the future. Um, it just right now he's just situational, but he could be good in the future for sure.
Well, this is where obviously we're doing this now for 2022. That's the bots for this
Mm.
year. But what the plan eventually might be is that next year we'll revisit this again. We'll pull this exact thing up and go through it and go,
Mm.
right, who do we think's changed? Who do we think's improved? Who do we think's
Yeah.
gone backwards? And it'd be interesting to see that HQ18, because since HQ16, so much has changed to HQ17. Some bots have fell away from the
Yeah.
meta, some have gone through the roof. It'd be interesting to see how much they all change, over the next year or
Yeah.
so. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. And going on to that, Goldfire. Now, 9 months ago, I'd have put this guy,
Hmm.
honestly, like through the roof. Absolutely through
Yeah.
the roof.
I got sick of seeing him.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I couldn't speak highly enough of this guy. And when I retired him, about when the MSM mines came out, actually, even before that, I knew this. Listen, I campaigned for the MSM mines or something to stop sacks. And I was a massive sack player for a long, long, long time. I did Saber sacks before him. I did Goldfire sacks. I did cleanup crews, which is all about using Goldfire and Star Saber together. And so,
Can you tell how? You can tell in the landscape of the game. I know we've discussed many things in the playtester chat that it's like people are just stuck. People are stuck in a sack-minded
yeah,
mentality. It's like, oh, I had such great success, and it's like, yeah, but that was for then. Like, that's not going to stay. Everyone didn't like how stale things got,
yeah.
and so we made it a bit harder. And that brought the mines in. That made it harder. All of a sudden, the sack people lost their mind, and it's like, well,
Well, I made a comment today in Cybertron chat, and I thought it was a good comment. I only just come up with it on the time, and I thought that sums it up. And I said sometimes there's too many players that have a 2019 team that was good in 2019, and they expect it to be still relevant in 2022. So
yep,
Go Fight the Sack was a 2021 team, and it worked amazingly in 2021. But we're not in 2021 now. We're in 2022, and now the meta's changed. And you've got to think, and people go like, "Well, it's not fair that I had that team and it worked so well." Things like that. You've got to think, yeah, but how much did that help you for that year? Think about all the spark
yep,
you got, all the war winds you got, all the zen you got. Using that bot and using that technique for that year, it put you in a good place for this year to change your meta
yep.
to have a 2022 team. So with that said,
So
where would you place him?
now, I think he can still be in that good area, and this is if you're in a good team that makes maps for tracked wars and stuff like that, and you can see where the mines are and can plan around it.
Yeah,
Goldfire can still be very, very devastating on a base. It's simply if he gets caught, he's screwed. But if he's not, he's still doing a lot of damage and
yeah,
popping bots. So
yeah,
he hasn't lost his effectiveness. You've just got to plan how to use him better, and that either relies on you watching replays, your
yeah,
teammates making maps and being like, "Hey, that mine's MSM, don't go there,"
yeah,
or whatever,
yeah.
and that's what it comes down to. So he's still very useful, and there are still people that use him. Yeah, that's how I see him.
So Rook, we know where this is going straight away. And it's gonna
Yeah.
be an interesting conversation. So yeah, I put up there with RC because I actually love Rook. And like I said to you earlier, I use him slightly different. So yeah, we know he pops outposts, we know he does damage. But what I do, I use Rook as a way to make Sea Spray cheaper.
Okay.
Bear with
Yep.
me. So obviously a lot of people use Sea Spray times 3 to clear an area. And obviously, what Sea Spray's cost? Is it 5 plus 3, is it? 5 or...
Five plus. Yeah, like I use him four
So,
times off the
right, okay,
bat.
yeah. So
So
good
yeah.
example. So what I will do is, rather than using Sea Spray times 3 or times 4 and using a lot of points, I'll use Sea Spray times 2, and then I'll use Rook with blades. a combo
Okay,
like
yep.
that, which will clear that area as well. So what I'll tend to do is I'll tend to put Rook. I'll pop the outpost, but I'll put it in an area near defenses. So there's a couple of defenses nearby to the outpost. I'll put that Rook hollow right on them defenses to pop the outpost. The outpost hits the hollow, eventually kills it, does damage in that area, and then I'll use another bot to clear that area. And so it's like a double whammy. It is to pop the outpost, it is to do damage, but it's more of a combo bot as well. And that's how I use him. And so then I haven't got used to Sea Spray 3 times. I probably only got to use Sea Spray twice rather than 4 times. I use him 3 times, which clears up other points for later on in the attack.
But that's a good thing about not just pathing in general, that there's more than one way to path.
Yeah.
And that's what people will be like. So people right now will be like, I can't path. I don't have sea spray. And it's like, well, it's not the only way to path,
Yeah.
right? There are other options. Okay, maybe people in our team aren't using those other options because they have a 5-star sea spray. But then it's like not just that. It's like, hey, have you jumped on the 4-star sea spray, right?
Yeah.
It's like that's just as good. Same thing. A 4-star Rook will do just as good as the
Yeah.
5-star. You know, in terms of handiness, obviously a little bit less damage on the explosion and you
Yeah.
know minus stats, but it's not like hey, it's 5-star Rook or nothing. No.
No. And then onto the final bot, and that is Dinobots. So what do you think
I
of this
think
guy?
I think he's actually decent. I really do.
Yeah.
Like mine is. Let me just pull mine up. Du.
Well, why are you getting him up? I would
Yeah.
honestly put him up there.
Yeah.
I really
I
would.
mean, yeah. So I pulled mine up. So mine's at 61.3. I haven't invested the spark into him, but the levels are there, right? Getting to 61 is the main key. If I've taken a bot quickly to 61, I see potential. So I jumped on that. Once again, he ticks boxes on not just offense, but he ticks that defense box.
Yeah.
I know we had a little bug recently where, after the 15 seconds, if you hadn't removed his holograms, they never got targeted
Yeah.
and they kind of lasted forever. They but that's fixed. But they're still very useful. Like, at 61.3 for a 4-star, his health is 27,500, right? That's pretty damn high. So, we're looking at a max bot around that 30,000 health.
Yeah.
3 holograms at a third, so 10,000 health per hologram. You've got an extra 30,000 health on defense that people have to go through, right? And then, looking at like if any healing is received, it's increased by 20%. I've got a rejuvenated core on him. You could put alchemist on him.
That's what I
You
did.
can really make this guy pop.
Yeah.
But I know not a lot of people would have invested on him straight because one, he's a 4-star. I was like, well, it's not really an issue because doesn't have a 5-star. But he has SA11. I mean, I don't have him on my live account. I'd have to check on my test. But at a 6511, this guy was doing some pretty serious kind of stuff, and yeah, he's worthwhile investing in.
Yeah, I think mine's about 57.8, I think, and I had him in an outpost, but I think the recent buff he had, taking the laser away or reducing the laser where it was, really helped him in his pathing because I found that he just stayed back too much as a frontline tank. He just didn't get on that front line too much, and then as soon as they fixed him, I was like, yeah, this is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Put alchemist on him. And yeah, I have him in a leveling team, not a leveling team, a raiding team that I do for resources, and he is the bot I use every single time to pop outposts. Because the good thing is as well is that when you target a specific area with Rook, it hits that specific area, and sometimes you might be slightly out of range. And same with the RC, but when you target a certain place with Dinobot, because it's 3 hollows, and because it's spread out, it reaches those high outposts that you can't normally reach to pop them.
Correct.
And obviously, like I said, with Alchemist, it just doesn't die. It just stays alive so much, and I think he's massively underrated. Massively underrated. As a 5-star, I would honestly put him up here. I really would. I mean, as a 4-star, to put him honestly that high, I think he's one of the best warriors in the game. I really do.
Um, definitely an underrated bot, and people need to, watch these streams. They need to ask or should ask about, hey, I have this. It's still useful, and there are useful 4-star bots that people just need to be aware of, and not just fob them off because they're 4.
Nah, I
And
agree.
it's just yeah, and bots like Dinobot, really highlight this that 4-stars can be great, and yeah, it's
Nah,
the
I agree.
stats alone. Yeah,
So obviously we're finished there now, and you can see all the ratings. Do you not feel like a lot of the Russian bots are low down?
yeah, it's because they're exactly doing the same thing, and it's nothing.
For me, it's because they're Russian. Now I know Dinobot kind of does that as well, but you've got the hollow to protect him, you've got the healing
Yeah,
that protects him. But with those bots, they have the 80%, and then once that's gone, they're in massive,
that's it.
massive danger. And when you're doing a
Yeah,
walk team, you want all your bots together. You don't want them to rush off.
keeping your team together is all about that whole path thing, and it's like, well,
Yeah,
okay, so when you start, I mean, on defense, we want attackers to split. All right, that's what we want.
yeah,
But when things split apart, um, anything can happen. And but you're also healers go crazy. They don't heal. They're doing more running than they're healing, and all that sort of stuff. And so if you're spreading out stuff, and then you're rushing bots away from your team, I just feel like you're asking for trouble,
yeah,
and it's not a well managed run. There are some rushing bots there that that need looking at just to
yeah.
make them useful. Um,
A
I don't know.
rebuff.
Sometimes a rebuff, yeah, just a revisit. They pretty much just gave him a blanket. Here's 80%. That's it.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh,
I think Space
you
Saver just
can't.
a bit scared because they've got such high health. And, we've seen this in the past where Space Saver, we've looked at it and as a testers, we've all gone, this needs more. And they've gone, and I think they just looked at numbers, basically. Just looked at the stats, looked at the health,
Yeah.
and gone 80% shield. And when you talk about it, when you think of a bot that has 35k health and has an 80% shield, that sounds good. Like we talked about Glass Gas, like we talked about Inferno. On paper, it sounds OP to hell. But in practicality, it's not so much.
Any of those that are not great are there because of what they are. They're
Because
just
they're not great.
not great.
Yeah, good sum up.
I mean, when after we do the gunners and the aerials and the medics and the triple changes, you know, if you were to put all the not great bots in there, it would be an interesting percentage of total bots in the game versus how many are in that not great category.
Yeah,
I guarantee I'm feeling like it's in that almost 50% category of bots that are just not great in the game.
maybe. That's a good stat to look at, actually. Once we've done the whole series, I'll look back and even just between specials and the warriors, I think that's pretty much apparent. This a lot of situational to not great bots, so that'd be interesting. That'd be interesting to see. All right, well, that's every single warrior bot in the game for 2022 summed up and rated. So let us know in the comments, guys. What do you think? Do you agree with our decisions? Any of those that you think we've got it wrong? Let us know. I know there's a few nose cone users out there that really love this bot, but me and Tex say it's the worst bot in the game. But if you disagree, guys, then yeah, listen, stick it in the comments and let us know. But like I said, me and Tex plan on doing some more of these, so stay tuned. Let us know in the comments as well what you would like to see next. What video would you like to see? Let us know. All right. Well, thanks again for Tex for giving me your time and helping me rate all these bots. I look forward to the next video, and we'll see you again soon. And thanks for tuning in, guys, and peace out.